Hello, Nigel here with you, Nigel's Modelling Bench, and now we are at part 8 of the build of this gorgeous Paladin M109A7 from Royfield Model. If you remember, the last part wasn't part 7, the last part was an update, and I was talking about paint colours and everything, and everybody had their own opinions. I've tried the LP30, which I didn't like, it was too light. I've tried the XF78, I didn't like that, it almost looked like, you know, when you see sometimes a woman has overdone it with the face powder, say, well, maybe I shouldn't say a woman, that person, sorry, has overdone it with the face powder, you know, a bit too fleshy, if you like. And then I've gone over with XF57 buff, and I just don't like it. I don't like the colour. Please don't say to me the colour looks great, because it all depends on your screen settings, my camera settings, whatever. It's what I can see with my eyes here that matters, and it just doesn't look right. It looks a lot better than the LP30 did, but anyway, someone else also commented that I shouldn't be using black primer under LP30. I use what primer I want to use, basically, and I use black primer under white. Go back and look at my Saturn V. If you want to get a really rich, deep white colour, you undercoat, you prime with black. Okay. The problem is with the LP paints, when you thin them so they spray nicely, they're so hot they just eat into the primer, so the primer just keeps coming through. As soon as you put like an XF over instead of an LP, as you can see, it just covers beautifully. In fact, you can see the lighter colour under there. It's just covered over it. It's absolutely brilliant. So I spoke to John Alec, John Alec's modelling scale model world, and there's a link to his channel down below. Go give him a sub. He's a great modeller and lovely guy. He deserves a sub. He actually bought me this model and sent it to me because it wasn't available in the UK, but it was available in the US. It is available in the UK now from Tiger Hobbies, and again, description down below, there's a link where you can go and order yourself one. So yeah, so John suggested trying the real colours, so I've got the real colours here. Now, I got this a while back from Jadlam. It came, come here, this catalogue came with a kit on the AK real colours. Now, I've been very generously bought the full set of AK real colour pens, which I haven't tried yet. I'm sorry, I must get on and do that. This catalogue came, I had a look at them, this sounds quite interesting, and they've rebottled the AK real colour. Used to be in these jars like this. Okay, so you had, this is olive drab number 9, so you had a jar and it was 10 millilitres of paint. Okay, they've now changed to a plastic bottle with a Vallejo type dispenser on the top, and they are now a 17 millilitre bottle. So it's also a lacquer paint, so you have to be careful with it. I've got the window open and I will have the fan on when I'm spraying. I'm going to do some spraying on here and then I'll go off and do some in the booth. Looking through the specifications, everything is talking about how it's made. They're talking about what thinners to use. You can actually use the Real Colours high compatibility thinner, which I've got here, so I'm going to use that. You can also use Mr. Colour, which I've also got, and you can use the Tamiya Yellow Cap thinner, which I've also got, but I'm going to use this one because it's the least smelly of them all. The paint must be thin to flow well in the airbrush. Now they're saying 3070 for base coats, which is a very thin coat of paint, and then 15 to 25 to 85 to 75% thinner. So I'm going to go for like a 20-80, 20% paint, 80% thinner mix. And it says here they're very tolerant to different dilution ratios. It's possible to paint with like 9:1 thinners. So we're going to be spraying it around about 9 psi. So not only is this a new paint that I'm trying, I'm also going to use for the first time properly this. This is the new game start. This is the Galari Ambition Series Airbrusher and Compressor Kit, and there will be a link to this again in the description. It's like a bloody sales pitch, this, isn't it? There'll be a link to this in the description below the video, and if you go on there and use the code, if you want to go and buy anything from the Galari website, use the code NMB and you'll get 10% off your purchase, and that works as many times as you like. But what we're going to do, we're going to use this. This is basically, here it is here. This is basically a complete airbrush set in one box. So you've got the compressor, you've got your airbrush, and you've got your hose, and there's also a power supply that plugs into here as well. So this is what I'm going to use for this. Now this won't be on screen. It's going to have to be to my right, because obviously if I had it on screen, the hose is going to get in the way of everything. But what I'm going to do, I should plug it in. I have the power lead here. It's one of these where you've got the power supply on the plug and then you've just got a low voltage lead coming up, which is great if you've got dogs or cats that chew things. So there we go, you can see the red lights come on and automatically it's set at 21 psi. So, sorry, I need to switch it on. So you can see there it has itself, it's a pressure switch. Now in this catalogue they recommend, where is it? I saw it. They recommend 17 to 22 psi. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave this on, like, put it to 19. We'll see how we go. If we need a bit more, we'll put it up to 21. But on here, the settings are 15, 17, 19, 21, 23, 25, and 27. So you can hear the difference. It's just and then if I go to maximum pressure, you can hear the difference there. Now, somebody did ask me how this performs. Does it get really, really hot? So we're going to find out, because we're going to spray this whole model using this paint and we're going to see how we get on. So what I'm going to do on camera, because there may be some newbies watching this, I'm going to grab a little cup that I can use to mix my paint with. Just going to check it's clean. Okay, and then I'm going to grab my scales and we're going to do this scientifically, if you like. So I'm going to put put the scales on. So there we go, 0. The cup weighs 1.6 grams. So let's set it 0. So if I go if I go 4 grams of thinners, whoops, too much. Let's take some out. Do this scientifically, yeah? Why did that go? Why is it only saying 3.5 when it went up to like 4? Maybe it's because I touched it. There we go. So there's 4 grams of thinners. So if I now go 1 gram of paint, make this 5 grams total, that will be roughly 80% thinners. So of course, assuming these have the same specific gravity. Here we go. Wipe the cap off. Always wipe these caps off, otherwise they get really gungy in the lid. So I've given this a good shake before we start, and this is the Kark Tan FS33446, and it's RC885 is the colour. So we've got our paint there. I don't think that's going to be enough. We're going to have to do some more mixing later. So I'll give this a good stir. Okay, so I'm liking this colour already. Although we don't know. You can see how thick it is there. See the consistency. I don't normally bother measuring out weights of paint and stuff. I just do it so I think it looks right. And generally what you'll find is when it's sort of, when you roll it up the side of the cup and it slides away and it's basically, you know, practically disappears, that's generally somewhere handy. So we can put this in here. Okay, we'll put that cup over there, and I'm going to use the lid. I don't normally bother with the lid, but I'm going to use it because I've put quite a lot of paint in there. So we'll just pop there. Don't ever push the lid down too tight, it'll get itself very firmly attached. So we can put our airbrush in there, and I'm going to wipe off the edge of this cup so that it doesn't drip, and I'm going to put that cup over there safely out of the way. In fact, I'm going to put it over there safely out of the way so I don't knock it over. Right, so the first thing I'm going to do is do a little tester and see how it comes out. Okay, you would not believe what I've just done. I filled the airbrush up, went to pull the trigger back, and the needle didn't move. This airbrush, if you remember, if I think if I'll put a link in the description, I did a test of this on how it all works and everything and how it sets up. I didn't clean the airbrush out, so obviously the needle was absolutely solid. So I managed to break the needle away and then pulled the needle out with the cup still full of paint, which I probably wouldn't have done had I not had the lid on. And then, as you can see, the paint just went everywhere, because obviously the paint runs out the front, it runs out the back, it goes everywhere. And I've had just had to give this, you can see there's from wiping the needle off, you can see how much black there was still in there. So now it's all cleaned out and it's working lovely. So it seems every time I start a gallery video, I do something wrong. So anyway, there we go. Right, so now we can get on with this. So the first thing I want to do is see how it looks. So I'm going to get the hull and just see how it looks on here. So as I say, this is about 80% thinners, 20% paint, and we're going over the buff colour already, and already you can see the difference. I mean, yeah, there's a bit of a sheen to it, but there's also a difference in the colour. This little airbrush doing a lovely job. It's actually set at 19 psi at the moment. You can see this paint is covering very, very well. And I haven't dusted it off, I've just noticed as well. I'm just doing everything wrong today. And Dottie's jumping up on my lap. Get down, Gavin. Okay, so I'm going to get this dusted off and then I'll be back. I don't know, I just turned the camera off. Okay, so I've had to shut Dottie out of the room. There's a dog outside who won't start barking, and she's barking at that and then jumping up on my lap to see what I'm doing. As you can see, this little airbrush works great. The colour's looking good. I'm really happy because see, I've done this area here, not that area there. So hopefully you can see the difference in colour. And I'm very happy with it. Now I'm not worried about it being a bit blotchy because we're going to be giving this filters and washes and stuff anyway. But what I do want to do is make sure that all of the areas that are raised up, like these headlight covers, these hooks, these hinges, this bit here, those hinges, make sure they've got a good covering so that we highlight the sticky outy bits. You can see I've still got a load of fluff in that bloody grill. I don't know why I'm bothering today. What I should do is just turn everything off, go out and lock the doors behind me, because it's just everything I touch is going wrong. I'm trying to do a starter set for you guys as well, and the starter set is not being very starter friendly, I'm afraid. As you can see, this paint is, even though it's 80% thinners, it's covering beautifully, it's spraying very nicely. Yeah, so if you are new to the hobby, you're thinking about getting yourself an airbrush, this is a really good way to get going, because I personally feel with this little bit of use here and the little test I've done, I personally feel this is better than the very cheap airbrushes you buy. You can get airbrushes for literally 10-11 pounds these days, but you remember you are getting 10 or 11 pounds worth of airbrush. As I think this certainly feels a lot nicer to use, and also having just completely stripped it down, having it completely bunged up with paint and cleaning it out, there's no trouble at all. Obviously I'd rather not have to do it, but and we're out of paint, so we'll take the cap off, add some more paint, going to give it a little swirl around because it does tend to settle. So we'll do that, we'll add some more paint in there, there we go, job done. And then continue with our spraying. You know, with this being a military vehicle, not a car body or something, we don't really have to worry about perfection and finishes and stuff. We just get the colour on. There we are. I made the fatal mistake there of turning the airbrush on while it was facing the model, so we got spatter. That won't matter because the paint is so thin that the spatter will just settle in anyway. So that's the main hull done. You can see when we look at it with the turret, you can see the turret has a sort of a less pinky hue to it, if you like. This is the CARC, which I believe is the colour this would have been painted in, so, or will be, is painted in, because it's not would have been, it's a new vehicle. The wheels, I think I've shown you this before. I've got a circle template, and we find the next size up and then make a template from masking tape, and then you have a thin edge to push the wheel up to, and then you don't get all the paint building up. So you can just spray that in. I'm not going to bother doing the backs, because the backs are already, they're already a tan colour, as you can see. They're the incorrect tan colour, but they're good enough for this. I go around and change the angles, just like so. And there we are. Right, I'm going to get some more done. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so you might be able to hear a buzz in the background. That's the waterfall on my lovely spray booth. So I don't know if you can see this, but basically, if you remember, I put 5 grams of paint in here. Then I spilt a load. I probably spilt, let's say, half a gram. So 4 to 4.5 grams of paint has done this whole thing, which is basically that was 80% thinners and 20% paint. So I've basically used 1 fluid ounce of paint. Basically, I think 1 fluid ounce is about 1 gram, something like that. Absolutely unbelievable when you think I used practically a whole jar of LP30 to get the awful finish you saw I had before. So there is a tiny little bit left in the bottom of this pot, so I'm going to see if this will be enough so that I don't use any more paint. If I do, it's going to be the absolute tiniest drop of paint. All I need to do is this area here. And if this is enough, I should be very, very pleased. Oh, I know what I haven't done. I pulled the turret up, the gun up. So there you can see the colour difference. Okay, so I haven't done that area there. I've just run out, so I think I'm going to need another tiny little drop. So what I'm going to do is, rather than mess around with measuring and mixing, I'm going to grab my pipette. What we'll do, we'll put some of the AK thinners in there, just to drop like that. Okay. And then this is just to show again the newer models. It's not a science. You don't need to start measuring the weight of your paint. I only did that so that you could see that I'm sort of basically proving to you 2 drops of paint. I'll go 3. Just basically proving to you that it was actually 80% thinners. That's the only. I wouldn't normally bother. I don't even normally bother mixing. I normally mix in the cut, which drives people absolutely crazy. But hey ho, such is life. So as we can see, that's mixed up lovely. Just had a cough there and put that stick in just to get rid of that bit of neat paint that was up the front of the cut there. So there we are. So that's that. That's great. Okay. So as AK say, you can mix this as thin as you like. Obviously, it's just the thinner you mix it, the less it covers. But you can have a lot more fun spraying because you can spend longer spraying, and you can also then build up. If I want to build up the colour on here, I'll go for a lighter colour just to sort of make it all look a bit without artistic license. Anything that's raised off the surface, give it a lighter coat. Even if you want to get some of this, mix a bit of white with it, and then just go over areas like that hatch, that there, the tops of these, the top of the gun, these areas here, and just highlight. Now when it comes to weathering and stuff, I am awful, I'm rubbish. Someone like Luke Carswell is your man from Black Rifle Model Works if you want to see weathering. But I give it a go. I'm sure we'll get a half decent result. I must be honest, I don't enjoy it at all. I do not enjoy weathering. Most people see modelling as building the kit is just a means to get to the painting yet. I'm the absolute opposite. I love building, I don't really enjoy painting at all. So there we go. Right. So we're still going strong, there's still paint in there. Here we are. That's that done. So, it's only been a few minutes, hasn't it? And we can take Dottie for a walk now. But these folding bins are not part of the kit. I made the hinges, so if you want to go back and have a look, all I did was drill them and pin them. I haven't actually made the hinges, but don't expect your kit to have folding boxes. I made them fold basically so that I could paint them, make it easy to paint. So I'm really happy with that. At last I've got the colour I was looking for, and I've done all of that with 1 gram of paint, 4 grams of high compatibility thinner, and we'll ignore those last 3 drops because I probably wasted more than that when I spilt it all out here. You can see it's all, you know, it's everywhere. So yeah, thoroughly recommended. Having said that, it had a really easy job because it was going over a colour which was basically, you know, the same. So if I was going over a pink primer or something, which would have been a good colour for this, I think, then it probably would have taken a bit more to cover. But overall, over the moon. Now we're going to be giving this a wash and some dusting and stuff and dry brushing and that. But really pleased. There goes that bloody dog again. So we got to do all the detail painting on the tools and everything now, obviously. But there we are. What a kit this is. So we finally got our painting done. Now I need to go and look at painting the tracks. I almost forgot. How did this do? Well, people asked, does it get hot? The answer to that is no. It's very slightly warm. And I've been spraying, what's this? This video's been going about 20 minutes. I've probably been spraying about 20 minutes because I've done spraying off camera as well. So I've probably been spraying constantly for 20 minutes. And with the fan on the extractor, I can't even hear this. So I mean, it's not the loudest thing in the world. But and it is a bit, it's a little bit shaky. I mean, if I put something on the top of it, you can see that bottle of paint is sort of dancing across the surface. There you go. So the rubber feet help, but you know, I should imagine if you stood it on top of a box or something, it's either going to silence it or it's going to act as an echo chamber. Yes, made it worse. But you can see it's got suction feet on it. So yeah, there we go. I'm really pleased with this. It's bloody great. Really handy if I want to go out in the garage and spray something like a big hull or something with a big fuselage. Just take this out there rather than the big one. But there we are. Very happy with it. So yeah, as I say, check the link in the description below this video and you can go and order yourself one. It's a great little starter set, I think. Right, back in a minute. And just one more thing, guys, in case you think I'm trying to pull the wool over your eyes. I bought these 2 colours. These are the 2 colours that John Alec suggested. Thank you very much, John. So RC898, which is sand, and RC885, which is Cark tan. So this one is unused. This one I've just used. So this one is a brand new bottle and it's 29.5 grams. This one, as you've just seen me use, 29 grams. So I know for a fact we've used a gram, so this one was slightly heavier than when it started. Maybe the label's a bit thicker or something, I don't know. But basically, I only have these 2, so I can't sort of take a mean. But yeah, 29.5, and that one is 29. So there we are. That's just proof to you that I've used literally hardly any paint at all. And I'm going to be getting some more of this, guys. I really like it. Which means I'm going to have to make another paint rack. Right, see you in a minute. Okay, next day now, and the paint is obviously all nice and dry and hardened off and everything. I've gone round, and where I had bits of dust and stuff, I've managed to pick that out. I've forgotten to dust it off. So all the wheels are stuck to blue tack, as you can see. So what I'm going to do now is give it a clear coat. Mustn't forget the barrel, put the barrel over here so we don't forget it. I want to give it a clear coat because we've got some masking to do, some little bits of spraying like on the rubber mud guards, and there's a black belt around the barrel. So I want to seal everything in to make sure the paint's good and tough, and then when we start putting our weathering on and chipping and washes and everything, we're not actually going to, because the trouble is with these paints like this, if I put a wash, say a brown wash on these bolts to highlight them, what will happen is it will seep in and it will soak into the paint because the paint is porous, and you end up with this large stain rather than just the black ring that I'm after. So what I'm going to do is give it a coat of varnish. I'm going to use this one. This is the VMS XXL, is just extra large satin. So you can get this from Brooks Models, as I've said before, and you can use your discount codes. But this stuff is absolutely wonderful. They suggest 0.4 plus nozzles. So I've got my Galeri Barbatus Rex swallowtail here. So this has got a 0.5 needle in it. This comes with a 0.38, a 0.5 and a 0.7, I think. I'm right. Am I right in saying that? Yeah, 0.28, 0.5 and 0.7. You can see there it is there on the side of the box. So yeah, you actually get 3 nozzles and 3 needles with this one. So I'm using the 0.5, and even though this stuff is quite thick, as you can see, I mean, I go like that, you can see it's not sort of just running around like normally would be thinned in airbrush, but it still sprays beautifully. So we'll do a little bit on here. I've just noticed there's a bit of dust on there that I've missed. So I'm just going to, where did it go there? There's a little hair on there. So I'm just going to pick that off, blow it out. There we go. So there's another spot there. I hadn't done the wheels, had I? Right, and there's some more in there as well. Tiny little bits of fluff and stuff. Little bits of cotton bud, I should think. Right, so just to show you how good this stuff is, I could just do a little tester on here on the wood. I think I've blocked the nozzle. I think I've got tip dry on here because I've there we go. I did a little test just before I put the camera on, and it is quite a warm day, so it's obviously dried in the tip. I want to give it a good wet coat. I want it to make sure there's something on there to seal. I'm not particularly after a finish, because what I'm going to do after it's all finished, we'll seal it in with some of the brilliant VMS matte varnish, which is, you saw me use on my little Russian tractor. So there we go. So you can see there, it's sprayed down, it's got a lovely finish on it, and that should dry to a nice satin coat. I think I'll get some down on the barrel, then I'll move over to the booth. I can get the extractor on, but you can see how beautifully it sprays. Even though it's really thick, it still goes down. I know that Luke Carswell of Black Rifle Model Works has been telling me how good this stuff is, and boy oh boy was he right. The gloss is a little bit funny. I think the gloss needs to be thinned, but only a touch. Make sure this is all sealed, and then it's ready for whatever we're going to do with it. We're going to put pigments on it, or enamel washes, or whatever, with this on there and nice and hard. I'll leave this 24 hours before I do anything with it. Then it's ready, and then like when we do these, if we get any overspray, we should be able to just go in and mop it off with a cotton bud. So I'm going to basically spray the whole thing. We'll just do this bit here again so you can see how good it is. Just put it down like that. That, believe it or not, is all soldered together. That's all soldered together brass. But that is basically a plate that sits on a bracket on the front. But again, I just want to get everything nicely sealed in. And making sure, as I say, I get a good wet coat on there. And if we do any highlighting or anything like that, we've got a good bit of protection on that matte paint, which might be a little bit fragile purely because it's matte paint, not because it's AK. So you can see on here, I've started to dry on these wheels here, and we have got a lovely sort of satin finish. So I'm going to get the rest of this done in the booth so I don't poison myself, and then I'll come back and we'll see how it looks. And there we go. This stuff, first time I've used it, absolutely bloody brilliant. You know, you can see we've got a very slight satiny sheen. I may have to go over the gloss where I want to put the decals, but you can see that it's absolutely bloody lovely. Really even. Make sure this gun hasn't stuck down with the varnish on there. But yeah, really even, goes down beautifully, no need to thin it, straight out of the bottle, straight into the airbrush, bang it on. I don't think it would work with a smaller nozzle, but I have got, hopefully, the full range of VMS primers on their way. So they're an acrylic no peel primer. So I saw LPJ review them, and they look to be very, very good, and I would expect nothing else from VMS, because it seems that everything VMS make is just awesome. Having said that, their gloss varnish I don't think it's as good as some others out there, but maybe it just takes some getting used to. Maybe you need to change your style of brush spraying or whatever, I don't know. But yeah, really, really good. You could also see on here I've done these ammo boxes in the NATO green colour, so that'll be a nice contrast when they go on the roof of the turret here. There'll be a nice contrast to the sand colour, so they're nice. And we can also see over here I've got a little bit of one here. So we've got some lights, so we've got some orange lenses there, we've got some red lenses there, we've got some black lenses there. You can see it's lovely and shiny. On the back it's painted in black. So there we go. And also the gun I've done with the metallic black, and I've had to remake the barrel, and the little raised bit on the end, where are we? The little raised bit on the end is a piece of masking tape wrapped around. Reason being is because of the way it's connected on the sprue. The barrel is made, this is like the barrel from here down, and there's like a sprue gate here and a sprue gate here, and the trouble is the plastic flows in and you end up with like a cold area, and it just snaps really easily. So that's just part of injection molding, unfortunately. What they should have done was put the sprue gate on the end, but of course they've slide molded it so you've got a nice hole at the end of the barrel. So yeah, I'd probably rather it was injected from the end and drill the barrel myself, to be honest. But anyway, we replace that now with metal. I cut it right back and replaced the barrel with metal. So you may have to do that on yours as well. Literally, it just fell apart when I touched it. So obviously, it wasn't me being rough. I mean, it broke here and here. It broke into 3 pieces when I just touched it. So there we are. So there we go. Not quite sure what to do with the tracks yet. I'm going to have to go and look at somebody's video and find out how to do tracks, because we've obviously got them here. They're painted in the black. These are the original kit tracks. If you remember, I went through a load of fuss, even hanging up the build and waiting for parts to come, and then it turns out these were the best solution in the end anyway, so bear that in mind. And they are lovely. If you glue them together carefully, they are lovely, nice and flexible. We've also got on the hull, if you want to go back and see how I did it, we've got adjustable idlers so we can set the track tension. But obviously these pads have got to be a matte black colour, and the rest of the track would have been painted probably in a glossy black, but the pictures I'm looking at, they seem to be all sort of ingrained with sand and everything, but the ends appear to be slightly rusty, which is unusual because tracks don't generally rust, do they? But, I'll have a look and go from there, and maybe someone can suggest a video where I can go and look at. Maybe I should just send them up to Luke Carswell, let him paint them for me, because he's brilliant. Right, as I say, I enjoy the building. This part I don't enjoy so much. So there we are. We're going to call that a day for part 8. We've got everything painted. We can now walk away and just leave it, and then start with some weathering. So I'll see you all soon. I'm going to get these lights painted silver now on the backs, and let them go dry for at least 48 hours before I start messing with them, because these clear colours, this is the X26, X27, clear orange, clear red. They can be quite, take quite a long time to dry and be quite soft. So have to be a little bit careful with those. So I'm going to get those back of those lenses sprayed silver, and then just leave everything to dry. Alright, so I'll see you soon for part 9. while we'll start doing some probably highlighting and some weathering. There's a bit of something on there. Look, let's just break that away. Lucky it's an AFV, isn't it? Dirty old Hector, aren't we? Right, see you soon. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.